Hello, and you join me on day 25 of my Sprinter camper build. Now today, I'm just getting on with whatever I can. Obviously, time limits. I've got a week and a half to go now, so time's even shorter than it was previously. Right, so today, all I'm going to do is whatever I can. So probably insulation. This week, hopefully, I'm going to try and get the roof rack and solar and the roof vent on. It might end up that I end up just having a platform with a blow-up mattress on there for this festival, but something's better than nothing. So let's see how far I get. Okay, so I'm all set up. I've got all my bits ready. I've got my sacrificial bit of board. I've got my thermal liner, my cleaner, my cloths, everything ready to go. So I'm just going to do some on the roof first. There's still areas that I can't touch, but there's going to be some areas I can do. So I'm going to do the roof first and then work my way onto the sides I can do. I'm just going to get in as much thermal liner today as possible and then move on to whatever else I can do today. Okay, so there's the roof. Obviously you see me in previous videos put the sound ending on. I'm going to put some insulation on now. Now obviously at the side here, there, the roof rack's got to be bolted on. So I can't do the very sides, but I'm going to probably do the majority of it and then patch in the little bits on the side anyway because the curves and stuff. So I think I'll just tuck the thermal liner right into the edge there and then over cover it once I've done the roof rack. Sounds like a good idea to me anyway. Alright, so I want these original interior light wires, but I don't want them over this side. So what I'm going to do is just pop them down today so I can get the insulation up. As always, using the handy clip remover tool that I've shown in previous videos. Probably the first or second video I showed that in. Right, we'll get a tape measure. Now this panel here, we've got 535, and then I want to go right over the panel. So we're doing 1,450. So I'll cut that and I'll be back. Okay, so I've cut my piece, as you can see. So this is exactly how I've measured it. So hopefully I've measured right. So I'm going to start putting that up, see how well it goes. Got my roller just to get into the edges, but we're looking at going in there. Yeah. So I think what I'm going to do is peel just the edge off. So it's a very large area. Try and stick all at once. So we'll peel off that and start from this side. Like that. And slowly work my way this way. Right. I want this as close to the metal as possible to help with the vapour barrier against the water. So that's the idea of this stuff. Getting a bit of a pickle there. Right, that's a lot of that is in. Right, so I'm just going to use this to get it up onto the pieces of metal where the ridges are. I'll find the ridges, make sure that it's up in them as best as I can. So that doesn't build up moisture in there. That's still hanging down, so let's get that up, shall we? Right. I've not actually seen anybody roller this stuff on, they just pad it on with their self, but I just figured it would go on a lot tighter if it was padded on. Tucked in as best you can everywhere. Right. I must admit the adhesive is very sticky because it's sticking to places I don't want it to. So I suppose there's a bit of a knowledge that knows that it's actually staying on. I'm going to hopefully stay on. Right. Well, interestingly enough, it's actually wider in the middle than it is on the ends. That's a bit interesting. I've got a bit of a gap here, about a finger width, where it's tight up against this side. So I've got a piece that's 460mm wide, so we'll see if that fits any of the other. I'll have a measure up and see. Okay, so I didn't have one that was 460 wide. I had one that was 360 wide, so I cut 100mm off the edge, and I'm just going to use this one from here. So I'm going to try it a different way because I didn't like how that one went in very easily. So such a large panel to deal with. It's very awkward to put in. But I'm sure there's plenty of people out there showing how they've done it. I'm attempting my own way. But it's not working out how I envisioned it, shall we say. But I'm giving it a go. At the end of this, it will be fully covered, regardless of how I get it on there. But we'll see. Obviously, I'm hoping it doesn't build up moisture above this, because that would be terrible. But what I didn't like about the other one is I didn't get it into the grooves very well as I was going across. So this time I'm going to try and manipulate into the grooves as I work myself across the roof. As I work myself across the roof. Right, so there's that one. Carry on slowly across the roof. Get into that one. Now, hopefully I don't have to make holes through it, but if I've ended up putting it over an area that I need to make a hole, I'll just have to cut a hole in it, and then patch it up afterwards. On there. Now they do thinner thermal liners. It probably will have a little bit easier installation because they're a bit more pliable. But all in all, this isn't too bad to manipulate about to where you want it. And again, we'll get a roller and just make sure it's rolling in. Now, it's windy today. I keep getting grit blown in my eyes from the yard. It's not ideal, but you deal with what you've got to work with. As you can see, it's gone up in the dips a little bit easier this time as I've worked my way across. Now we just get the roller and do like I've done on everything else, just roller it so that it's definitely on there. I'll just finish this one off and I'll sort out a new one. Got another piece. Now this one is again for 540mm wide. So I've done another 540 of 1 metre 450. So I'm going to see if I can get this one in. I'm going to obviously do what I did on that one. That one went in a lot better. I managed to squash most of it up into the ridges of the roof. So I'm going to do the same, I think, on this one. Let's give it a go. The ridge and right up in there. Right. Yeah, that's working nicely. Carry on. Again, like a ridge. Now, the rest of the panels on the roof, I'm not going to be able to do today because I've got to fit the fan in up here. I've still got to sort out the bolts at the back, and I've also got to work out what I'm doing with my alarm sensors on the roof. So this is the last panel I'm going to do on the roof. Now I'm going to do some bits on the side. Swap myself around a little bit. Going up. Now this one's going in really nice. It goes to show as you do it, you sort of learn the best way of getting it in. Now that's ended up a tiny bit too long. That's a bit annoying. Right, what we'll do, I think, is I will push that up in. Like that. To the edge. Now I'm going to have to cut that bit off because I need to get to the rails for the roof rack, as I said. So I'm going to gently cut 10mm off. There. Want that bit. Ooh. I'm ripping all the bits, so we'll just have to rubbish that bit. Right, that's part of the roof done. Hopefully we can get onto the roof rack, get that on, and then I can seal it all up 100% then. It's definitely sticky, it's sticking to my fingers. Ooh, get off, get off. Right, now that's sort of torn off, which is annoying. A bit messy, but we will conquer. Right, that's ideal, because obviously I've got my seal against over that as well. So once the bolts are in, I can do that. Right, I'm just going to manoeuvre around, and I'm going to do some bits in the side, I think. Right, so I've set up on this side. Now the other side, I've got a little bit of work to do. So I don't know if I can get insulation in there yet. This side, I know there's not anything going to go on. So I'm going to try and get it on this. Now, I've watched quite a few videos and they don't actually show you how they've managed to get the thermal liner into all these little nooks and crannies. So hopefully I can work it out, get it in there. All right, so where do I start? I've got the 100mm strip that I had left over, and I've got another 450mm wide bit there. So where do I even start doing this? I mean, how do you get into these areas that are sealed off? Maybe it's easier in other vans. Maybe Sprinters are a little bit more difficult. So I think we're going to have to just measure bits and hopefully squidge them in and get them onto the panels. Let's give it a go, shall we? Right, so here goes back into there, and sort of looking at 370 there, and 200-ish down the bottom. Get this stuff, try and measure out a bit that's angled like that and see if it goes in. Right, so I've done this. This starts off at 320mm, goes down to 200mm, and then I've gone straight. Now that will sit in there like that. So I've made use of the width of that piece and just cut it to suit, and then I can cut another piece that will go in here and so on and so forth. So I'll get that piece in, and then we'll work on the next piece. How do I start this? Do I go at the bottom? Obviously, previous videos I did the side panels and sealed all the clips, so therefore I don't have to worry about going over the top of them now because they're all sealed in. So we'll get it down in there where I want it, and I'll start pushing it on down the bottom. Oh, it's quite awkward. We'll just get rid of all of that. Get my hand up behind the panel there. That's stuck to a place I didn't want it to. There we go. Get it right against the panel there. Right. I'll just get you on the camera. Right. See, gone right in against that pillar, and right in down there, and we're going up there. Now, there is going to be bits where it's not perfectly touching. That's not enough. Okay, so now I've got this bit. It's behind the panel. Now, I get my hand down in there. Ooh, dirt. Get my hand down in there, so I'm going to clean the dirt out, and then I'll try and cut a piece that's that size, slot it in behind and see how well we get on there. So I'm just going to get on, clean this up, cut a piece, and then I'll be back. I have to show it, I'm sorry, but dirty. Look at that. I mean, I've cleaned this van a couple of times, and there's so much little ledges you miss. So all I'm doing, yet again, my glass cleaner. Bit of glass cleaner, and then try and get your arm in as far as you can possibly get. And wipe the panel down. I might be able to do a little bit of a dual tandem thing there. There we go, lovely. Right, so I mean, I've wiped the panel best I can. As you can see, it's just absolute mucky down there. But right, I'm going to get on, measure this up, cut the panel. I'll be back. Right, what I've decided to use is the 100mm strip I had left, because I can now, as you can see, get that down in there like that. Easy enough, and then I have to do another little strip and another little strip, and that'll make it easier to get in there. And then hopefully afterwards I can get some of the silver foil tape and seal it properly down through the seam. So let's attempt to get that in. Now I've put it in as a test fit, and it does fit quite nicely. The problem being is how do you peel the back off once you get it down in there? I mean, it fits lovely down the bottom, tucks into the wheel arch nicely, and tucks in up here. It's a little bit further down, I was hoping, when I measured it and cut it. I can't really see, but it's down behind the panel. So let me just turn. So it's down in there. It's quite, yeah. So I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll put the camera light on. So that's down in there, and I'll have to do another strip next to it to make sure it's sealed the best I can. So yeah, I'm gonna get on, try and do that. Okay, so I've worked out how to do it, so I thought I'd get the camera back on. I've peeled away the backing a little bit and got the very bottom in. Managed to get my arm down in here. And what I'm going to do is just slowly peel the backing off. Oh, there we go. I'll get my arm in again and make sure it's pushed against the panels. Down in there, which it did. Lovely. So that's off. And again, I will get a clear picture down in here, hopefully. See, it's formed there and up to there. So I'll get another strip and put it next to that. And down the bottom, oh, didn't quite push it in then. It's gone quite close to that one. So again, let's get some more. Carry on. Okay, so what have I got to do it now? That's quite a steep angle off of that one. So what I'm going to do, I think, is just swipe quite a deep angle. It's all guesswork because you can't really measure it, unfortunately. No. So feed that in there. See if that fits where I wanted it to. That's a bit awkward to actually work out. Can I feed it in another way? See if I can feed it in from the top here. Now, are you meant to do this? I'm not sure, but this is how I'm doing it again. So I want every bit of bare metal, if I can, covered by something. I mean, obviously in the rails and that, I'm going to have to put the thermal fleece because you can't physically get inside them. Now, is that working? That is working. Okay, so I know, let me get a pen, or marker pen, shall I say. That needs to be cut off around there. And out it comes again. There we go. Right, cut that off. We end up with that. Now, be careful when you do this. I've nearly cut myself a couple of times on my arm here trying to wedge my arm down in there, so let's give it a go. Now, I'm trying to do videos where I show everything I do, but the last video, one of my last videos, ended up over an hour long and I cut loads of bits of footage off just to try and shorten it a little bit. Now, obviously, ideally you don't want to be cutting any footage off, but obviously I don't want to put people off watching a video if it's too long. Or I might have to, if you want to suggest anything, like maybe I break the video up into a couple of videos so you've got, you know what you're watching. If you want to watch a bit more, you could watch another one. Or I do a shortened version and a longer version of the same thing. So it's up to you then if you watch either or. If you just want an abbreviated version of it, or if you want an actual long-winded version of the video. Right, that goes in there. Get my arm in. So I'm hoping I'm giving you a realistic idea of how to put this in, because yeah, this is not easy to get your arm wedged into a hole, and that's cut way too long and I haven't really got the option of cutting it down now because I've put it in. So I'm just going to have to do my best and get the backing off. There we go. And stick it in. Cut the other bits around it. Yeah. It's a bit annoying, isn't it? I'll have to just try and trim that off. Carefully. managed to get the next section in there. So as you can see, it's down there, tight against the other one, tight into the wheel arch as best I could get it. So yeah, just make sure that's on there as firmly as I can. And on to the next bit. I'm going to have to use the thin again to get down in there. Will that do a bit there? How ironic, the bit I cut off is pretty much the right angle, so I'm going to use that. I want to utilise any offcuts I can, so I definitely don't run out. And if I do run out, I'll just have to order more, but fingers down in there. As you can see, it's just filled up that little odd bit on the edge. Right, so I'm sort of done with that bit now. So the video's not massively long, I'm just going to get on and do a bit more, but you can see the process I'm using, trying to fill the panel up as much as physically possible. Hopefully keep away that heat, keep away that cold in the winter, and make it a really nice fan to be in all year round. At some point I would like air conditioning. They do a 12 volt systems now, so I've been looking into those, seeing which ones I could possibly have or use in a van. They do ones that hang on the back door, because obviously my roof is going to be pretty much full up by the time I've done the solar and the ventilation fan. So I might have to go for the option of hanging a AC unit on the back door, but that'll be at a later date. There's not a rush for that. Okay, so I've cut a bit for here. This is a lot more sealed than that. This at least had a slot I could use to actually get it in, you know, that one. You know, I could use that to help me get it in. This hasn't really got any holes, so the only solution I could think of is to try and ram it down in this hole and see if I can get it in that way. Now, it's really going that well. Does everybody else have to go through this, or do they just skip the bits that are awkward to get to and just stuff some thermal fleece in there and call it a day? You know, I don't know. But you can see I'm having difficulty. Now I don't even know if it's the right size yet, because I haven't managed to get it in there, so I'm hoping it's the right size once I get it in here, because I can't get it back out. Right, so I can unwind it there. Right. I'm starting to peel the back off, that's not good. Oh, it's going in. It's poking out down the bottom. You know what, I might have actually done it. I think I've done it. Okay, so now I've done it, how am I gonna stick it? Right. So I can't get my arm in there. So I've got to try and take the back off somehow and stick it to the panel. Very gingerly, like that. Get it to where I want here. Start sticking it to the panel, I guess. And then same at the bottom, try and I think it's ripped left part of it on. It has. Oh damn it. Right, okay. So let's start by trying to stick the top on like that, and then try and get my fat fingers up in like that. I think I've got the last little bit off. And then just try my best. I think I've done it, you know, I think I've done it. I'm going to get the camera and confirm this, I think. He's only gone and done it. Look at that. Right down in there. All the way to the bottom. So I can get a piece easily on here. So that, I'm going to say, is a success. Okay, on to the next awkward, really awkward bit. I started trying to get it inside there. Now, I don't know if I can get it in when I go over there because these holes aren't there, but as you can see, I've gone sort of halfway down. Getting some small strips and pushing them up into there and I'll try and cover that. Try and cover that area. It's just got to be done. I don't think thermal fleece is going to do the job enough there. And obviously, by the time I get my windows in up here, I'm then going to be able to cover that as much as possible next to the window. I just thought I'd do a bit of the video of me trying to get this in because you can see how awkward it is. Ooh, come on, you can make it in there. Come on. Now, whether you want to go to all the hassle of doing this when you do your conversion, that is your choice. My choice is I want to cover as much of the panel as possible because that is the idea of this stuff. Otherwise, you might as well just not bother putting any in if you're not going to do it. Seal it properly. So there, look, I've got that. I don't know if you can see it. It's up in there, that whole length. So now I'm going to fiddle around and try and stick it on. That's the hardest bit. Getting it in there is not too bad, but actually getting your arms in to stick it on, not easy. Okay, so I've got that piece in down there. So I've managed to get it, and it sort of goes to about here. So I've got to get a tiny piece in the end there, and then that will complete that up and there. I've then got to do lower than. There's gaps. I don't know if you can get up, and so there's a gap in between. So I've got to get those bits done. Now, this is proving a lot more taxing than I was expecting, but I want it done properly, so I'm not going to skimp on time just because I've got a time limit. I'm just going to make sure every piece I can possibly get in is in there, covered as much as possible. So when I put the panels, the trim over there, once I've made them, I haven't made them yet. I know behind here is as covered as it can be, so that'll give me good insulation all the way around. Right, so I've cut a large panel to go down in there. That's a lot nicer, just bigger. But this has had a taper from 270 down to 250 because that's how that sits in there. So I just thought I'd show you that before I put it in. And I'll get it in, I think. So let's do the tricky bit. I think we'll start from the bottom and get that off. Push it all the way down in. Hopefully it doesn't stick to anything on the way in. Let's see. Sits in there lovely. I've got the bottom stuck on. And we can peel it back. Now this is why I wanted to get the outside clips sealed before I did any of this, because all of this is going over those clips. It was a bit trickier than I expected, but I went in, switch on those panels, get it up in there, and then right over all of that. There you see. Nice. It's gone exactly how I wanted it. Over that bit. Lovely. Now I can cut some. I want to try and do the big panels first so that I can have all the little bits and pack them in places. So make use of every little bit. So my camera went dead. That's always good, isn't it? So I've just cracked on and got on with it. So I thought I'd show you where I've got to. Well, I've been out and I've got some silver tape. So I wanted to get this bit finished. So I've silver taped it as well. You see all the joins are sealed up. Every place I could get it. It's done all the way down inside of these. Just turn the Oh, can't put the flash on. That's a bit annoying. Hopefully you can see. Put it down in there. It's right down all over that. So at least I know it's done down inside there. So there we go. That's where I am today. Okay, so I thought I'd show you this before I tidy it up, but it's just absolute carnage everywhere. I did get a rubbish bag, but that sort of lasted all for about 5 minutes, and then I ended up just chucking it all over the floor. So I'm going to clean that up and call it a day. I'll do an outro in a minute. So that's day 25. Believe it or not, I've been up here since 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and the time is now 7:30. That took a little bit longer than I was expecting. It's not great, is it? But I do know that that panel is completely and utterly covered top to bottom as best I can do. So now the thermal fleece go on top of that, give me some decent insulation, hopefully. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tomorrow I'm going to be cracking on loads more.